Good Wednesday morning. How are you this morning? I am great. Oh my goodness, the temperature change is so huge this morning. From bulky jackets, I have like this pile of jackets where I get ready in the morning because it's like, do I wear the light one? Am I wearing the parka? And so today it's just basically a sweater and a light jacket if you need one, but big difference in the weather today. Kind of glad I had enough winter. I'm ready to move on from that winter. They say it's going to be in the 80s by the weekend, and we're supposed to get like another cold front. But all in all, we could be like, I hear Nashville is going to have like 20 inches of snow. They've never had snow, so they're going to have to like shut down Nashville. It made me giggle because Tim and I one time went to Washington. And we had all these cool things planned. We were going to go to the Mint. And we were going to go tour the White House. You know, we were going to do all these things, D.C. And we got there, and the place that we were staying literally had, I don't know how many inches of snow, but like everything shut down. I thought, we all snow. So could you imagine? It would be like if we got 20 inches of snow. We'd have to literally shut down because how would we move all the snow? I don't even know how that would work out. And then like somebody was talking to us from Erie, where Tim's from in New York, and they said they had like 49 inches or some crazy bit. Oh no, I like getting in my car and driving on into work, not having to worry about any of that stuff. My biggest drama this week has been waiting for the defroster because my car was so cold and we put heat on, so warming it up, waiting for the defroster to get my windows clear. We are blessed to live where we live. I'm just going to tell you, I am a Florida girl, true and true. Central Florida, I love. Holly Hill, I really, really love. I just love our little city and love the fact that we do not snow. Snow is fun. I mean, I have seen it a couple times. I did make a snow angel. That was fun. And we drove in it, which made me a nervous wreck. But all in all, I would rather not have snow. I know. So I'm fine with the weather getting a little warmer. Like, you know, I'm an 80s girl and we're leaving on vacation in a couple weeks. So packing is more fun when you're packing and you know you're going somewhere warm instead of figuring out layers and layers and trying to do all that. But enough about that. Okay. So did you hear the song right before? Well, we had a couple like swank songs before we came on the air this morning. Amazing Grace. Have you had to have some amazing grace this week? I was thinking about that. I've had to have some grace this week. And there's been a couple times this week that could have went south. And so I have had to have some amazing grace this week. Yeah, and it was funny because I was thinking about a couple incidents I've had to go through. And I wanted to get mad. But you know, God has helped me through this, through and through. I said, well, you know, in the grand scheme of things, and I had to reevaluate. In the grand scheme of things, did it matter? And you know, it didn't. It just in that moment, I thought I was being disrespected about something. In that moment, I was mad about something. But in the grand scheme, was it life-changing? No, it was not life-changing. Was it going to change the day? I mean, it rearranged the day a little bit, but in the grand scheme, it did not change the day. So I had to have grace. And then when that song came on about amazing grace, I thought, all right, Lord, thank you. Setting up my day for some grace. I don't know why you're setting up my day for some grace, but you are. I got a lot to do today. It is Wednesday. This is the busy day of radio. And it's been busy every day this couple weeks. I mean, since the beginning of the year, wonderful, busy every day. Love it, appreciate it, thankful for the new people I'm meeting, thankful for the new ministries that are coming on the air. So I am thankful. But it has been really, really busy, and I love it. And so I was thinking about, you know, the new different accounts and stuff. Well, today we got a new church coming on. So, and to do a spot and an interview. So that's at 11 o'clock. And you're saying, but today's your crazy day. Why would you do that? Because I had to have grace. Yep, I had to have grace. So I said, okay, let's work it out. I love it that God has figured out my schedule. And I say God's figured it out because I did not figure it out. I wanted one way. God wanted another way. You know, I semi-retired last year, I guess. And people say, have you really? Yeah, I have really. I'm able to walk away from some stuff where before, you know, I felt guilty and I would stay and do. Now I have a schedule better, which I appreciate. You know, you do need to have boundaries. That's not something I was really good in my earlier days in radio. And now I'm getting boundaries. And so I appreciate that. And, you know, I'm learning to say no, which is really weird for me. And it's funny because I felt guilty always. I thought, well, I need to do whatever for all the ministries. And God kept saying, no, you come in early so that if they have normal jobs or whatever, you can work it out. Why are you now trying to come in early, go late? I go, I don't know. So God has really been helping me with boundaries and learning to say, this is what we have available, and let's go from there. So I'm thankful. I've had a lesson or two this week, and I appreciate that God is constantly growing me. If you are not growing or learning every day, there is a problem. I think we need to be growing and learning every day. I like a book. I like a magazine. I like to touch paper. And so I like to sometimes just grab something and just sit there and look at it and read it or whatever. I like to look for new ideas and new things. I want to constantly be a work in progress. And so I have been stretched a little on a couple of things here at WAPN the last few days. And I thought I could either let it steal my joy, ruin my stinking thinking, or I could say, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to adjust, regroup, and redo. And that's what I've been doing. I've been adjusting, regrouping, and redoing. And God is honoring that. He wants us to have boundaries. And boundaries are a funny thing because if you're like me, I'm a yes person, and I like to make sure everybody's happy, and I like to make sure that, but you also have to have boundaries for yourself. I love a good power nap. I do. I love a good power nap. And it's so funny because in my mom's latter years, that was her thing. And it was sometimes not a good thing. I remember when our garage caught on fire, and I needed some information I could not find. And I knew my mom had that information. And I knew that it was power nap time, and I would not be able to get that information. In the grand scheme of things, that information really wasn't needed at that moment. But in my mind, I needed it that moment. And I went to call her, and I could not get a hold of her. And I was like, oh. And then I thought, no, it's her power nap time. That's something that she had boundaries. That's something that she did every day at a certain time for her. And it changed her life. It made her a better mom, a better business owner, a better person, because she set aside a time to relax and rest. And so it's funny. I love a good power nap. Now, a power nap to me is like 45 minutes. If I can't rest right away within about 15 minutes, I'm just going to get up, because I'm not going to lay there and watch the ceiling fan go round and round. I'm just not going to do that. But I do like it. I've not got completely like my mom. My mom, we had a family joke. I loved it, and I think about that all the time. She would put her nightgown on and take a power nap. So when she woke up, sometimes she couldn't figure out, was it the next morning because we had darkened curtains in her room, or was it after the power nap? And so I refuse to do that. But it makes me giggle, the things that you were raised on, the things that you remember that you didn't think you'll remember, the things that you do that are like a family member that you don't even know that you do. I just love that that about life. I guess I've been reflecting a lot this week. Several of my friends have lost their parents, and it's hard. It is weird. It is uncomfortable. Grieving is not fun, but you need to grieve. You need to rejoice. You need to remember. Those are important things that you do. And so I guess maybe that's why it's sparking some memories in me. But I laugh at some of the things that I thought I will never do that. And now I'm doing as I'm getting older and enjoying life more, and knowing that it's okay. It is okay to shut the phone off. It is okay not to be available for like an hour. I mean, really, Tim and I even said that last night. We were watching something on TV. I don't even remember what we were watching. And she lost her phone. I'm guilty of that. But actually hers was gone. And she said, well, what did I do without a phone? I mean, how did we find our kids? How did we, give a message? How do we, all those things? Well, I lost my phone this week, and there was like 5 minutes of chaos. And I thought, and Tim just hits find a phone, and we found it. And it was fun. All right. Yes. I'm going to throw myself under the bus. It was in my purse. It was just not where I normally put it in my purse. I had to laugh. I had panic stricken for 5 minutes. What did we do before we had that phone with us all the time, or a beeper? People just went on with life. They got in their car and didn't worry about it, and they were okay. They went places and they were okay. So sometimes things that we have or do are a little overwhelming. But I think that technology is great. I think that I love having technology. I love that how far we've come. I love that we can Google something and figure it out. I love that we can check our calendar. I love that we can check messages and all that. But sometimes you need a power nap. Sometimes you need grace. Sometimes you need boundaries. Sometimes you need to step away from the stuff and just take a brain break. And I have needed a brain break. I do a lot here. I deal with a lot of people, which I love, 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 love. I love people. I love being busy. I love programming. So those are all wonderful, great things. But sometimes your brain gets a little tired by the end of the day. And so Tim has his thing he does. I have my thing I do. And I think it makes us better people. I think it makes us stronger people. And so if you're struggling with, is it okay to say no? Is it okay to take a break? Let me just tell you, it is a great thing. God wants us to be refreshed. God wants us to, rethink, reset, regroup. And so I'm thankful for the things that God has allowed me to do these last few years. A lot of changes have happened in the last 3-4 years of my life, and I'm very, very thankful for each and every one of them. It's so funny when people blame COVID for this or blame COVID for that. I appreciate the reset, the redo. You could stay stuck or you could learn a different way. The things that we learned, the things that we did to make sure churches were on the air, the things that we did to provide food for the community. And those are the things that happened during that season, during that time, that made me who I am right now and grouped me and molded me and changed me into the vision that God had been trying to do. And I think if we didn't have that moment where things were weird and things were awkward and things were just crazy, would have I changed? Would have I remolded? Would have reset? I don't know. So I'm thankful. So whatever God is doing in you right now, I didn't really get a word for this year yet, and that bothered me for a few days. I was like, well, I always get a word. Why haven't I got a word? Everybody else is getting a word. Why haven't I got a word? Because I feel like God is doing something, and I'm just going with the flow, and I'm just coming in here, showing up every day, being excited, looking for what he's doing that yes when maybe it doesn't work out, that my schedule is crazy anyways, and God says, say yes, just do it. And I do it. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but I do know that God is doing something for you, your ministry, your household, your health, your finances. He's doing it. He's got a work in progress that he is working on for you. You just have to be willing and able. And so I am willing and able and excited to see what God's going to do. So today's going to be a great day. Like I said, tune in at 11. Of course, tune in all the time. But there's going to be an interview with the new ministry here in town. So go ahead and tune in and see what's going on with that. So let's get our day going by our favor. You know what a downpour is. It's raining so hard you can't see anything. That's what God wants to do every one of your lives. Pour out blessings that cannot contain. I'm ready. I love it. Now, personally, I don't like a good storm because I get a migraine. But I do like the reset, the refresh of when the rain comes in and washes it all away and resets. So let it rain. Let it rain, Lord. So we're doing decluttering. I'm trying so hard. We're decluttering miscellaneous items, those ones that you keep because you're going to use one day and you never use those items. So get rid of them. Let's declutter. And then we're also doing the master bath. Well, that's easy at my house. We only have one bathroom. Now we have a bathroom in the garage, but that's the guy's bathroom. So clean your bathroom, people. Wipe it down, refresh, get some new towels, put some smelly soap in there, put a little air freshener in there. Time to do your bathroom, ladies and gentlemen. So it is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Like I said, difference in the weather today. The high is 67, the low is 50. Madison 64 with the low of 33. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to Tommy and Sally and Josh and everybody else. Today is hiking day. I love that. Give somebody a hug today and just tell them you appreciate and love on them. Rolex 24 is this weekend. Taste of 24, yummy. If you have never experienced a Rolex 24, it's pretty cool. I remember we went out there at one time and met my brother out there, and he was camping out there, and we got on the top of his camper. That was pretty cool. So we live in a town that has so many amazing, awesome things. Experience it once. Hey, it might be for you. It might not. But get out there and experience something. I'm out of here. I'll be back later on with a new interview. Y'all have a wonderful, great morning. I am